Okay, so tonight's presentation, I have presented to many teams across the network. Actually, a friend's teams here on this call. A lot of you guys that were on your last retreat heard the same presentation. And what I was explaining is that I've never really brought it to our team or to Diesel Core because you guys are my family. You guys have been on this journey with me. You know, as long as I've been a coach for 10 years, so many of you guys have been right there alongside me. But I thought to myself, as I'm seeing across the board where we're at as a team, what's happening within the network, and it's just this reminder that we constantly need to hear of people's story. Right? There's so much power, guys. I hope you really truly believe there's so much power in your story. I do remember, starting off as a coach, and I used to think, well, I'm just a mom, right? I'm just a wife. I'm just this average chick. Like, what power is there in my story? But I started to pay attention to the details of my life. I started to pay attention to who I am, why I am the way I am, what makes me tick, and it starts to kind of, get you to understand that your story is your power, right? As mundane it may seem to you, it is your power. And so tonight I want to share with you guys a little bit deeper into my story, right? Through this presentation, I'll go ahead and share my screen. Let me see here. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can see this. I'll get it up bigger. Can you guys see that where it says let's keep it real? Good to go? Give me a thumbs up. All right, cool. So I titled this presentation, Let's Keep It Real, because what I want to share tonight is a large part of my story, many aspects of my story. And in this, sharing this, I want to keep it real with you guys because I'll tell you what, over my 10 years of being a coach, there were so many coaches in the network that may have been farther along than me in the business, had more tenure, perhaps the ones standing on stage at the summits I would go to, the Super Saturdays. I call them North Stars that I would look at and I would admire, how far they've come. I wanted what they had accomplished and I set those goals. But there were so many of them that also along the way in my 10 years had kept it real with me. When I sat down to talk about the business or when I had a chance to have a conversation with them or when I met them at events and we were networking, they would keep it real about their successes. And I always cherished that because it gave me an inside look, right? It made me feel like, you know what? Like nobody's journey is a straight shot up. In fact, if you feel like you're going a straight shot up in anything you're doing, I say, caution, because anything that's going to push you to grow, push you out of your comfort zone is going to be a bumpy ride. There's going to be ups and downs, right? So I always cherish the ones that kept it real with me and shared their business with transparency, shared their journey with transparency. And that's what I want to do with you guys tonight as I share some of my story and also some mindset. I guess I call it my toolbox, my mindset toolbox that I go into. And when I'm going through stuff that we all inevitably are going to go through stuff, it's my toolbox, my mindset toolbox that I still here today, 10 years later, go into, pull out of to get through, the hard times. I love this quote. And if you guys know me and you follow me for a while, my favorite personal development book is You're a Badass. And this comes straight from You're a Badass. It says, life often turns to shit before it turns to shinola. I had to look up shinola. I didn't know what the heck it was. It's shoe polish, by the way. So how do you make shit shine, basically what it's saying. But you can, meaning you can turn a bad situation to something good. There's always a silver lining in everything, right? There is always, and Christina and I always talk about this, like there's always a choice in everything. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care how devastating. I don't care, what we are faced with, because I've been faced with some pretty bad stuff, in my time, but there was always still a choice. And I think that that's a good reminder that we have to keep with us. Another one here, let me see, sorry. Another one here is success is jumping from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. I was talking to someone today and people often think that like the opposite of success is failure. Well, if I didn't succeed, then I failed. The truth of the matter is that failure is a part of success. They go hand in hand. You have to fail. You have to know what doesn't work to know what does work. You have to know what not to do to be able to know what to do. right? So I think that this quote always stood out to me as well, because it reminded me, like, if I'm not failing, then that actually means to me I am not reaching further enough. I am not out of my comfort zone. I am not doing the things that are going to get me to grow, that are going to get my business to grow, that are going to push me as an individual and everyone that's in my orbit to the next level. Because if it's comfortable, then there is no growth in that, right? So as we go through everything I want to talk about tonight, and as I share with you some insight into my last 10 years in this business, I want you to remember these two things for yourself, right? Like, let's remove the emotion of constantly being, I get it. Like, all of us in here, if you're in here building this business, you're on this team call tonight and the Tuesday night, like, you want it, right? We're high achievers. We want this. We're going to fight for this. We're going to do what it takes. But you also have to give yourself that grace, right? That grace and understanding that it's not supposed to be perfect. It's not supposed to be a straight shot up, all right? All right, so let me tell you guys a little bit about me. And I love this graphic, right? How many of you, raise your hand if you've seen this on social media. And I don't know about you, but every time it comes up, I'm like, yes. God, yes, because we often forget, right? We often forget because we're looking at a lot of highlight reels from far, right? Like, who didn't look at Christina Delgado all of a sudden and say, hey, by the way, I'm going to double superstar. And then next thing you know, oh, guys, we're in, and it looked like, and meanwhile, she was sipping on a margarita. Does it look like a straight shot up to you? Yeah, me too. But we know that's not the case, right? We know that. And it's so often so easy to see from the outside looking in. But guys, you've got to know, you've got to have that discipline in knowing that it never looks like that for anyone, right? And so in my life, I want to share with you guys a couple of them. And forgive me if you've heard this before, but I know, I hear some of my friends' stories over and over and over, and they never cease to inspire me. And I hope that tonight, hearing mine again, if you have, re-inspires you. But for many of you guys that don't know, I'll give you a little bit of background. I grew up, my mom didn't finish the 10th grade. She left her house very young. She had me very young, but my mom is the epitome of a hustler. Like, my mom is such a hard worker. She's brilliant. She, in her time, has developed so many businesses. She has built businesses from the ground up. I mean, just a smart, successful woman, but did it in a different way, right? But she raised us always telling us she never wanted that for us. She wanted us to take the path of going to school and becoming a professional. Go to school and become a professional. Because she knew what it was to grow something from the ground up, right? In the way she did. And young, right? And in that, she missed a lot of moments with us as kids, right? I'm sure if she could go back, she wishes she could have been there more. She did what she could. I'm so appreciative of her, but there was that, right? And she always said she didn't want that for us. So growing up for me, and I don't know if it was like this for you guys, and drop it in the chat if it was, but it was like become a professional. And professional in our house was like one of two things. Either you were a doctor or a lawyer, and I can't do blood. So in my brain, as far as I could remember, I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a lawyer because I wanted to be in high heel pumps and carry a briefcase. That's all I want, a pencil skirt, right? But I wanted to be a lawyer. And so forevermore, I worked my way, graduated at 17 years old. I went into college, right? I had this whole master plan. And then fast forward to getting pregnant with my first child. I got pregnant at the age of 20. And I remember at this time, I was in my last year of college. Actually, I think 21. At my last year of college. And it was on my plan to get into law school, and it was time to take the LSATs. I actually took the LSATs, guys, like sitting in, the desks that are all, it's a desk all combined with a chair. Well, like I couldn't even fit my belly into that to be able to take my LSATs. I remember them having to move me next to the proctor of the exam, sit me next to them to be able to take my LSATs. But I was just determined. I was determined. And to give you a little bit of a story, when I actually got pregnant, I'll never forget this. My mom was taking a bubble bath. And I took a pregnancy test, and I was, again, really young, and we're running upstairs, sobbing, crying, and I bust through her bathroom door while she's taking this bubble bath, and she jumps up, freaked out, like this nude, and looking at me like, what are you doing? Is everything okay? I was crying. And I just looked at her and I said, I'm pregnant. And she kind of sunk back into her bath, and she's like, you scared me. But okay, here we go. She's like, and I'm like, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. And she was like, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. It's just going to look different for you. It's just going to be different than you thought it was going to be. And I didn't understand what that meant. And I remember telling her, no, because, you did it. I could do it. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to work my job. I'm going to raise this baby. Like, I could do it all. I was determined to do it all, right? So fast forward to taking that LSAT, I remember having that belly and that determination. I'm going to do it all. I'm going to do it all. Well, fast forward, guys, that LSAT, I didn't get the best of scores, but I got good enough to get into a summer program. I had to go into that summer program, and I had one shot. I had to end at the top, I don't remember what it was, top certain percent of the entire summer class in order to earn my spot into the actual school year. So it was like hustle mode for that summer. And I remember I was working 2 jobs at the time. The baby was really young. I actually had my mother-in-law living with me to be able to help me with the baby, with my husband when I wasn't there, because I went to school an hour and 15 minutes away from my home. On top of that, I was working as a server at a local Chili's, right? And during the day, I had actually picked up a side gig answering phones at a law firm. So it was chaotic. It was chaotic. But I'll paint you the picture of the day that was the aha moment, the day that everything changed for me. I remember coming home from one of my long days, from work, school, all the things, and walking into my house exhausted. And I remember walking into my mother-in-law carrying my baby, who was probably, I would guess, maybe 8-10 months old. And I remember I went to go get Jason from her, right? Exhausted, threw my books down, and went to go get him. And my child threw himself back and started screaming and grabbed my mother-in-law for dear life and did not want me. Like, he wanted his grandmother. It was like one of those, like, who are you, stranger danger? And I'm his mother. Right? And that moment for me, I swear in that moment is when I realized what my mom had been saying. Like, you're going to be able to do it. Sure. It's just going to look different for you. And guys, it was at that moment that from as long as I can remember that I was going to be a lawyer and I was dead set on doing it, I dropped it all. At that very moment. I did not go to law school. I dropped out of that summer program. I decided to go into that law firm, work my ass off. I will say that I worked my way up all the way over years. Someone giving me a chance to be able to file their papers. Someone giving me a chance to be able to work with them as a legal assistant. I then had another office offer me a job as a paralegal. Like, I worked my way all the way up to whatever it could be before I could be a lawyer, because I was just determined to make it happen and at that moment I chose my son. Like, I need to be home. I need to be home, and I just changed everything around. So that not becoming a lawyer, guys, for so long, it weighed so heavy on me that I failed at that I never completed that mission, right? So that gives you a failure way beyond Beachbody. Another one that I'll tell you coming into Beachbody that many people don't know, many people believe that Christina Delgado is my sponsor. She's actually not. We had another girl that we worked with in the law office, and I actually ended up signing up with her on a whim that we were neighbors and we worked out together and we were doing this, fun stuff. And I didn't even quite understand the business, to be honest with you guys. But long story short, soon after, signing up, my sponsor stopped working the business and I kept going, right? And I was really inspired by what I was doing. It was something that I really loved, and I kept going. There for so long, I will tell you that I carried, and you're going to hear some more about this, but I carried the fact that I did not sign up with a coach that worked the business as one of my biggest failures in this business. Like, I carried it around like if it was like this massive, like, scarlet letter on me that I was never going to succeed, right? Like a failure of mine, bad choice of mine. Another one I'll tell you, guys, that happened to me my first year of saying, that's it, I'm doing this. I went to shoot for All-Star. How many of you guys in here are shooting for All-Star? Fighting tooth and nail every month to hit your Success Club goals because you want to achieve that title, and you know that Success Club is the building block of this business, and you know it's the JOB, right? It's the foundational piece of the JOB. I knew it too, and I remember working so hard. But you guys, you know what? And actually my team, we just celebrated this month's Success Club. On the board, we give everybody's consecutive numbers. Mine said 97, right? I'm 97 consecutive months in Success Club. But do you know what I do every time I look at that number? I add 11 to it. Why? Because my first year of consecutively hitting Success Club, it was in October. It was my 11th month in. I was about to hit the title. Hitting that 11th month, I needed one more and I would have hit the title. I dropped out of Success Club. And I always look at my number and I always add 11 to it, and I said it could have been ... It could have been, and it was a failure that I carried around, right? This heavy coat of failure that I missed Success Starter that first year after all that hard work. Another one I'll tell you guys, if you've been around for the last 5-6 years on our team, you know that Team Diesel Core, I always say, when we were winning, it's Team Diesel Core. When we're losing, it's Monica's fault. I always take on the fault. But I was able to carry our team and lead our team to 2-time elite, right? In 2013 and 14, our team hit elite. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how euphoric that feeling was, how amazing it felt to take the team to elite, to be able to achieve that title and represent Team Diesel Core. And actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the third ever coach in Diesel Nation, I think, to have hit elite, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, it was something I was very prideful of, right? Well, when it came to my third year, do you guys know that I missed elite? I missed leading my team to elite that year by 2 elite points. It came down, I remember Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, hustling, trying to do it. It came down to numbers. Back then, the elite system was a little bit different. And there was this one category that was just so hard to calculate. You just kind of gave it all you got and then prayed. And I came short. And that year, our team fell from elite, after consecutively hitting 2 years. It got a little worse than that. The following year after that, we completely fell out of any title. Not elite, not premier. I had to learn how to deal with that failure and come back from that. And I think about it all the time. How many of us right now are walking around with some kind of failure that we dropped the ball somehow or didn't go as we planned, or we had a hard year, we had a hard month, and we're carrying that weight around of that failure. I know what that feels like. Been there, done that. You guys also know 2020 was explosive for not just Diesel Core, not just Diesel Nation, but all of the network, right? I mean, we were able to serve this world, I feel like, right? This country and this world with something we knew was going to help people in 2020. So we had a really great year. That is also the year that Team Diesel Core went Superstar, 15-star diamond, like stuff my dreams were made of. And I'm so proud of our team because we worked so hard and we stepped up to the plate when it mattered, when I believe it mattered most, right? Helped so many families get through such a hard time. But when I achieved Superstar Diamond, I want to give you guys insight into the behind the scenes of that. After hitting the qualification period and my team, complete rock stars, all hands on deck, open lines of communication, we did the damn thing. But the following week, it got a little tough again, right? And we dropped down actually the very following week to 9-star. All right, breathe, it happens, right? We know this. The week after that, we dropped down to 5-star. And then the week after that, we were down to 4-star. Now, they were small hiccups here and there, stuff, right? Business. But I need you guys to know that that's what the behind the scenes of my Superstar journey went like. Because here's the deal. In everything that I just shared with you guys today, being able to look back on all of it, I was able to realize, and in the moment as they were happening, as I've leveled up and grown, personal growth and also leadership growth, right? Understanding certain things and being able to navigate certain emotions and navigate certain situations, I've learned how to be able to bridge my thoughts and change them, not from what is not going the way I planned, right? But what if, right? But what if your perspective on what's happening or what happened, you decided to change your thoughts on it? And here's the gut check here I want you guys to realize. That is a decision to look at whatever's happening and decide whether I'm going to look at it this way or I'm going to look at it this way. Because guess what? Either way you look at it, you're right. You're right. You're creating your perception. You're creating what you're deciding to focus on. So I looked at all the things that I just shared with you guys. And I just laid it out. I just laid it out, a lot of my failures along the last 10 years, inside and outside of this business. You know, everything that happened with Jason, I look back, deciding to drop everything I had dreamed of for so long, my identity that I thought I would be, and carrying around that perceived failure, you know what I learned now looking into this business through personal growth and understanding, you know, the power of the why, understanding what makes people, no matter what happens, be able to be relentless and persevere and have that grit, is when they have a powerful why. At that very second, my son was such a powerful why to me that it didn't matter how. It didn't matter. I wasn't worried about the how. It was the why. It was him. It was wanting to be home and realizing, okay, it's not going to look the way I thought it was going to look, but I'm still going to be successful. I'm still going to figure this out, and I'm going to figure out a way to do it where I'm more present for my son. I carry that around today in this business because I realize my coaches, if they've got a strong why, it doesn't matter what comes their way, they're going to bulldoze through it. They're going to figure it out, just like I did at 21 years old, 22 years old. Well, with what happened, you know, with signing up and my coach choosing, and that's okay. I realized I had to bless and release that. She did me everything she owed me, she already did, which was present this business to me. Give me this gift. The rest was up to me. And I realized that my success, right? It didn't depend on her, and it didn't depend on anybody else. It didn't depend on Christina. It didn't depend on any coach that joined my team. It depended on me. Right? If tomorrow I fell down to an emerald coach, there'd be nobody crying. But guess who wants to be more than an emerald coach, more than a diamond? Who wants to be, you know, all the things I want to be in this business and achieve all the things that me. And I learned that, you know, through that hardship of taking off, again, that coat of, well, is this a perceived failure? Or can I look at this and be like, wow, you know what? This really molded me. This really molded me to understand that my success is entirely up to me. And I think a lot of us walk around like thinking that when really we've got everything it takes already inside of us. Are there circumstances? Sure, there's circumstances that everybody deals with, but they're not excuses. They're just circumstances. The other one of dropping out of All-Star. You know, I learned a hard lesson that day, and every single time since, because you know what? I'll let you in on more of that story. I very well knew that October, I threw in the towel way too early. There were a few days left in the month, and I threw the towel in. At that moment, I thought I had given it all, or I was telling myself that I gave it all I got. I was telling myself I did everything that could be done. It's just not happening for me. But I really knew I didn't. I really knew I didn't. And that regret, it wasn't the regret of missing All-Star. It was the regret of giving up too soon and carrying that around. That pain never allowed me to do that again. I can't tell you missing All-Star, what it has done for me, what good it's done for me in the last 10 years since. Because every time I've gotten that fork in that road where it's either, and you guys know this fork in the road. You've probably been there where you look and you're stopped. Just imagine yourself that fork right here. Well, if I go left, I'm just going to tell myself I did it. I did everything I could. And I'm just going to be the victim here. It just didn't pan out for me. Or if I go right, it's the hard route. It's going to take everything I've got. It's going to make me so uncomfortable. And I don't even know if it's going to work. And I don't even know if I'm going to hit the goal. But it's the hard thing to do right now. And I'm going to choose to do that hard thing. 99.9% of the time that I've chosen to do the hard thing since that moment, I've achieved what I was shooting for. Because I chose the hard. I chose the hard. And that's a gut check that we all have to make, right? But I learned that out of failure. Missing a lead and then the no title. You know how many people drop a rank, or miss a title and then they just completely get derailed. I mean, I learned in that precise moment a few things. I learned how to control my own emotions and get back out there, right? But I also learned the power of leading a team through the valley. It's easy. It's easy to keep a team united when things are good, right? It's not so easy when things are hard. But you know what happens when you choose the hard and you have a team that is as badass as my team is, that, leaned into each other, got through it, despite missing despite how hard it got for all of us. What we learned is how to be stronger together. And how, no matter what came our way, open lines of communication, transparency, leaning into each other, talking about it, working through it. Like, there is so much power in leading a team through the valley instead of instead of saying, you know what, I give up, right? Or I throw in the towel, or I'm gonna go hide behind the scenes. And then lastly, I'll say superstar, right? I'll tell you, since then we have made our way. We are not back up to superstar. I'll keep it real with you guys, but we're back on our way. We're working our way there. But I also knew, that happening with superstar. It happened to me at Diamond 2-star. It happened to me at 5-star. It happened to me at 10-star, right? I was always taught, if you want 10-star, you better have 13 to 15 diamonds, right? You want 5-star, you better be ready with 8 to 9 diamonds ready to go, because you're always going to play that game. It's the ebbs and flows of the business. This is a business, right? There's ebbs and flows, and it's always taking a look at the bigger picture and realizing that the only true way to fail is to stop, is to give up, is to throw in the towel, right? And I actually, if you're right now facing a rank that you may have dropped from a rank, or you're fighting for a rank back, or, wherever you're at in your business, you've got to realize that what that's prepping you for, like, let's say right now you're saying, Monica, oh my God, I can close my eyes and I can see myself as one day a superstar diamond. That will be a dream. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, where you're at right now, and controlling your emotions and navigating right now is what's going to prepare you for that moment. Because whatever you're facing now doesn't go away at 15-star. It doesn't go away. It's preparing you for that. All right. So now I'll give you guys my toolbox, right? Because when I sat back and I thought about all this, and I made a lot of reflections on what I have been through, I realized there was like a couple things that really served me. And those are the things I want to share with you guys tonight. I want to hand over to you and share with you guys. The first one, I can't take credit for this one. It was actually my sister that brought it to a team call one time. My sister Veronica, and it never left me. And it's something that I always say to myself over and over and over. I feel like at this juncture in my business, like, divorce is just not even an option. But I know that there's a lot of coaches walking around with that idea. And what does it mean? It doesn't mean, guys, it doesn't mean that I'm against divorce or like divorce is taboo. Listen, you want out of something, it's not working, by all means. But when you come into this business, if you want this business to work, just like a marriage, if you want it to work, if you are all in, and it's the decision that you are making, it will not work with an exit plan. It will not work if there's 1 foot out and 1 foot in. It just simply won't. If it's something that you do want, you've got to be all in. There can't be a plan B through Z. It's this and only this. It's all in on what you want, right? And I'm not saying all in on this business only. It's all in on the goal that you have. So whatever goal you're claiming, there's no working. I just don't see it like not working at. I'm not talking about your level of effort, right? Because we've got hustle season. There's times that you're going to be working at a 10. There's going to be times you're working at a 5. There's going to be times you're working at an 8, right? We know this. But what I'm talking about is the commitment level. The commitment to what you are doing and to what you want. So one of the tools that I have in my toolbox is always reminding myself that you must take divorce off the table. There cannot be an exit plan. The second one, the second mindset tool that I constantly come back and tell myself and remind myself is, it's business. This comes from Christina. She used to say it all the time. Monica, it's business. Control the emotions. It's not a reflection of you. You aren't a failure. You are just building a business. And no business is a straight shut up. Every business has highs, lows, good years, bad years, years of slowing down to speed up. That's business. And I also took this from the Fitzpatricks. The Fitzpatricks have tattooed on them, both of them, Jamie and Kim. It's data. And I loved that. When they shared it with me, like, that never left me either. It's data, meaning everything. The failure, the success, what worked, what didn't work, what you could tweak, what you could do a little bit better. All of it is data for you to just keep calibrating, right? And we know this business, like every business out there, also is continuously evolving, changing. So you got to change with it. So of course it's not going to be like, oh, I know all the answers, straight shut up. Everyone is constantly having to like go back to the drawing board on some things. Christy and I were talking about this actually on the flight home from LA. Like, there is always, for everybody, this constant like need to be relevant in what's happening now. Like you can't always stay stuck in your ways. Like that's evolution of business and evolution of self that has to continuously happen. So there's always going to be data to collect. What you have to be able to do is remove the emotion, right? When you start to see yourself spiral out of control because you just maybe feel, and it's okay. It's okay to feel sad, upset, down, exhausted, frustrated. All those things are normal human emotions. But it's realizing that it cannot deter you from the goal. It cannot like completely knock you off guard because you're building a business, right? Okay, the next one is a 24-hour challenge. And this one, I can't tell you how many times it's served me. And I know if Christina Abu Dhabi, I always say her last name. I call you Abu Dhabi, Christina. I love you. But that's not how her last name is pronounced. But I know that the other day, Christina actually proposed like a 24-hour challenge. And what this is that when you feel, look, we're human, right? And let's also keep it real on the world we're living in today. It's not only business pressures and situations that we have so many outside forces, so many things coming at us, right? It's what it is, right? And we have families we're raising. It's human. It's normal to get just overly tired, maybe exhausted. Like, oh my gosh, I need a break. And you deserve it. But here's what I've always given myself, and it's worked for me and served me over and over and over. I give myself 24 hours. 24 hours. When I get to that breaking point, or I get to this place, where I was working out of 10, trying to hit a goal, hit it, or I need a break because I'm working so hard, but something's got to give, I check out for 24 hours. Now, what does check out mean, though? Let me explain it. Because I think what often happens is that people get exhausted, they throw their hands up, they check out, but then it turns from 24 hours to all of a sudden, before you know it, it's like 24 days. And you're like, what the heck? Where did all my momentum go? I feel good now. I'm back in. And it just doesn't work that way. But at the same time, 24 hours doesn't mean that we check out 24 hours from our workouts and drinking our Shakeology and showing up to our team page and showing up to our social media, because to me, those are vital behaviors. Those should be ingrained in who you are, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about 24 hours, take a break from maybe not sending out those invites today. Maybe not digging in for the next, coach opportunity call and sending, and inviting into that. Maybe lay off the CTAs for today, right? And just do you. What do I do in those 24 hours? I do whatever fills my cup, right? And if it means watching a movie, if it means, kicking back and sitting by the pool, if it means taking a trip to the mall, whatever it means for you, do it. Take those 24 hours, right? Be with your family, do the things, fill your cup, and come back in. I can't tell you how many times those 24 hours have saved me. It's been just what I need to fill myself back up and get back out there. But again, 24 hours doesn't mean 24 days, 24 months, because that's what we often see, is that this happens and then we get into this mode of just it spiraling out of control, out of total control. And then I also think it's important to know the difference between business building activities and what your vital behaviors are. Because your vital behaviors, like the stuff that should be ingrained in you as a lifestyle, as who you are as a coach, believe it or not, those things are going to serve you too, right? They're going to serve you too. And missing out on them, not doing them, I just think is a poor choice, because it's not going to put you in the, in pouring into your own cup, right? And doing the things that are good for you. So I always remind my team, take the 24 hours off. Do it. Like, if your business falls apart in 24 hours, then you had a problem to begin with. Anybody can afford 24 hours, right? But it's also the self-discipline of coming back. And then the last one. This one's the one that most people laugh at me, but it's just the way my brain works. My brain just works in movies. And like everything I do is visual. I play out scenarios in my head. And one of them for me, I don't know if you guys, anybody love Hallmark movies, especially around Christmas time? Like, I love them. They all pretty much have the same premise, but I love to watch them, right? As corny as they are. Well, if you know, a lot of Hallmark movies have the storyline of, small town girl. She has big city dreams, right? She leaves home. She goes out to conquer this dream in New York City, lands the job, lands the guy, has everything going for her. All her dreams come true. And then something happened. Her husband cheated on her, and she's boohoo sad, and her life is falling apart. And what does she do? Well, this doesn't happen to a Latina because Latinas barely leave their home, but in the Hallmark movie, it happens. What does she do? So often she runs back home, right? She goes back home. Now, what happens when she goes home? She goes running back to the arms of the people that know her, love her, who are going to comfort her, remind her that she's amazing, remind her that it's okay, she's going to get through it, remind her that she always has a home, right? What else happens? Well, maybe she spends like a week there. Then she also starts to realize, coming home, another thing. Oh, I kind of remember why I left here in the first place, right? Maybe it wasn't so bad. Okay, well, didn't work out with him, but I loved my job. I loved what I did. I was succeeding. I'm going to get back out there. I look at this business the same way. When you get into that place, whatever catastrophe may have happened, you perceived catastrophe, or perceived failure, perceived like, oh my gosh, I don't know where it could go from here. You got to figure out how to find home. Go back home. What I mean is go back to why you love this. What brings you comfort in what you're doing? Why did you start this in the first place? What are the things that filled your cup? Take yourself back to the Tara, the Jackie, the Shay that started this and just couldn't get enough of it, couldn't shut up about it, woke up giddy, excited like a little schoolgirl every day to pour into this. Remind yourself of that. Also take yourself back there and remind yourself what life was like before you became a coach. Why are you fighting for this? How far have you come? Does this one trip up mean that you just walk away entirely? No. So go back and find home. I do that all the time, guys. I have to mentally take myself back and choose to change my thoughts, choose to turn my mindset around. And I hope that these 4 things, you take them with you. They're not, they're just these tools, these mindset tools that you can use to turn it around for yourself in an instant. All right. So I share with you guys like so much failure, right? Like all the bad stuff. I aired all the dirty laundry. I gave you all the crap that I've been through. But I also want to give you guys the other side of that crap, right? Because I think it's important to know. It's important to know that, all of that perceived failure is married to success. All of what I went through served me in the long run. And it allowed me to live out a lot of my dreams. And here's just a couple of them that I just randomly grabbed. The first one means, gosh, I can't explain to you guys what the first one means. This is my husband and his business partner. And if another big part of my story is I was actually so hesitant to leave my job and work my business full time. I made that decision soon after my daughter was born when she had her health condition. And it was Johan that sat on an airplane coming back from Summit that said, you can do this. Like, do this. Submit that resignation letter. Like, let's put the wheels into motion. I think you could do this. If those chicks walking across the stage can do it, you can. Well, I always carried, I loved him so much. He carried us and our household as I made that transition. And he helped me so much to live out this dream of mine. Well, in 2020, even if Superstar grew and it fell and what we did, all the things, what it did do? Because of all the hard work, all the years, despite rank, the income had been there where I was able to look at my husband in 2019, going into 2020, and look at him and say, you know what? You now can leave your job and start up your dream startup business. And that's exactly what he did in 2019, going into 2020, when we literally know it was going to be one of our most amazing years in Beachbody as well, carrying us through the very first year that my husband was building a startup with zero income coming in. Because that's, guys, Beachbody, we've got it made. Like with one challenge pack sale, we're in the plus, right? I watched my husband pour thousands upon thousands of dollars into a business with zero income for over a year to be able to start to grow this thing, his dream. But I got to turn around and do that for my husband. And I cannot tell you guys how much it meant to me to be able to do that. The second one is the first summer that we were able to pack up the kids, because now Johan and I not only, have built these businesses, that we have time freedom, meaning we could work our businesses from wherever we're at. And that summer, oh my gosh, being able to pack up the kids and move to the Keys and rent this amazing vacation home for 2.5 months straight without having to worry about going back home if we didn't want to. That was a huge, huge, vision board forever moment. The third one is dead in the middle. the pandemic, when kids finally started going back to school and things were just so weird, right? Public schools weren't operating the way they were. We were trying to rush to get into the kids into charter systems. You know, this one child of mine couldn't get into the class, but he was failing out of the public schools that was done virtual. Just a disaster, just this mess. Because of this business and because of the time freedom and financial freedom, in an instant, I was able to say, you know what? We're going to homeschool you. And I was able to pay for the homeschooling system, be able to have him home for most of the time. My mom would come or take him some days, homeschool him because she's a teacher. I couldn't do the actual homeschooling part. I didn't have the patience for that. But being able to have the ability to say, we can pivot. We can do whatever we need to do to make sure that Jackson, you know, is okay and not forced to be into the public school system with all the virtual that was just, he was failing out. He wasn't doing well. And the last one is another big one for me. You guys know, slight obsession with my oldest. By the way, this is the one, my son, the one that I had when I was 21 years old. Amazing young man, talented athlete, and just a great student. Does so well in school, all honors classes. And he has been for a long time talking about this private school. I'm not a private school girl. I never got to go to private school. I was a public school girl. And Johan, I mean, gosh, he went to school in Cuba. So this was like so foreign for us, so new and different. And he had his heart set on this one school, which is the best football program here in South Florida. And he worked his butt off. He got accepted into a school that mostly takes kids of legacy because their parents, you know, got them grandfathered in. And he earned his spot into the school. And because of this business and how hard Johan and I have worked all along, we were able to, thinking, pay that tuition, like off we go, right? Four added years that we joke around, 4 added years of college, right? We're paying four years of college early, but that's okay because I get to do that for my kid. And that means, God, I can't tell you what that means. So every ounce of failure, every ounce of all the hard shit I went through, like, this is what it could look like. This is what could be on the other side of it. You know, I tell my team all the time, it's not just about the paycheck. It's what it brings. It's what it allows you. It allows you to live out and to provide the things that you want for you and your family. And, you know, and one more thing before I share this last slide. I carry this from my friend Fran and her husband Dan. One day they were on a business trip for him on his, you know, with his business. And he had been doing some really amazing things. And he looked over at her. They had just, you know, flown on a private jet to Mexico. And that was a big deal for them. And he looked over at his wife and he told her, you know, babe, growing up, I didn't even know to dream for this. I didn't even know to dream for this. Like, how powerful is that? I think we need to remember that. At least I hold on to that. There are things that I can't even wrap my brain around, but they're there for the taking for me and my family. And what's on the other side of that is just my hard work and my belief and my vision to keep conquering more and more. Because even if I can envision a mountaintop right now, there's still more beyond the clouds. There is. And we just have to dare to fight for it. Dare to fight for it. And keep that big vision alive, even when we're in the trenches, right? In the valleys. All right. Last thing, and I'll leave you guys. I know I talk a lot, but I hope that you guys found some value. Drop in the chat if anything spoke to you tonight, because I really hope it did. But this last thing I want to share with you guys, and tell me if you see this Vimeo link pop up. Chris, can you see that? Yeah? Okay. All right. So if you guys know me, you know, well, number one, I'm a football mom. And unfortunately, we are Dolphin fans. This year has been so hard. Talk about loyalty. But this particular year, I don't know if anybody knows what's called the Miami Miracle. This particular year, I remember exactly where I was at this moment. We actually had season tickets and we had to give these tickets away because it was my nephew's birthday. But we were in like a Chuck E. Cheese thingy and this was happening on the TV and it was just screams all across like the Chuck E. Cheese as this moment was happening. But this is a Miami Dolphin game against the New England Patriots, one of their biggest rivals. And, well, I'm going to shut up for a second, and I'm just going to play it. And then afterwards, I'm going to come back and just wrap this up with a bow for you guys. But take a look at this first.
10 seconds left. Tannehill will throw it. This will end it after the shovel, or will it? Miami running around, circling. Oh, look out!
I know everybody's not the big Dolphin fan or
10 seconds
football
left.
fan that I am, but there were 7 seconds on that clock. 7 seconds at the 30-yard line, and they needed to go all across that field. Did you see what those guys did? Well, first let's talk about the fact that most people at 7 seconds would probably throw the towel in, right? Probably be like, we lost yet again to the damn Patriots. But these guys got out there, and they literally reverted back to playing schoolyard football. They tossed it around like if they were a bunch of 10-year-olds playing in a schoolyard. And they just had fun with it, and it freaking worked. And they did it, and they gave it all they had with 7 seconds. Whoever put Celine Dion to this play was genius. But that, to me, that is what we're talking about. You're going to get to that place, and if you just figure out how to change your mindset around, have a little fun with it, go back to why you love this, man, I promise you, you're going to be celebrating in the end zone more often than not. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Love you guys. You there, Chris?
They don't need to hear from me today. That was amazing.
All right, guys, I love you. I hope you took something with you tonight. Let's keep kicking ass. Let's get out there. Guys, we are Diesel Nation. Like, let's go. We are on the brink of making team history right now with everything that's happening. And just know this, every single one of us on this team matters. I don't care if you've been on this team for 10 years or 10 days. Everything we do, every single person that puts their blood, sweat, and tears into what we do, it's for us all. So let's keep rocking it, guys. I love you. Have a good night.